the culture of food trucks are no, we are not the best in cleaning. If you go to a food truck, it's gonna be dirty. Usually, that's what people expect. So us cleaning it, make it more for food truck owners and for customers to know that this is what the standard should be. I'm not doing it for other people, but I'm doing it because like that I can show our customers too. Uh, you can be safe eating here.
Hey there, it's Emily Washkovic, Yelp small business expert. And here on Behind the Review, I interview entrepreneurs and industry leaders to get tips and tricks that can help your small business grow. Today, we're going to zone in on the story of a single menu item, Arepas, and how they sparked a food truck movement. Founder Herman Sierra of Pana Food Truck hopped on with me and told me all about the early days without permits all the way to today, operating a well-known food truck and just opening their first brick and mortar location. Let's give our conversation a listen. Today is going to be an amazing episode. We have with us the owner of Pana Food Truck. I discovered them through this year's Top 100 Food Truck list, but they have so much going on. They even have a brick and mortar now, and it's been a journey. Herman Sierra is the founder. Him and his brother came here from Venezuela in 2016, and they brought the food that they grew up on, the arepas that are very core to their childhood, and shared it with California. So I'm so excited to hear your journey, Herman. To start, why don't you tell everyone about when you came here and were sharing your culture with everyone?
For sure. So, my brother and I came to the United States in 2016. Um, the Shasta, Siskiyou area. There wasn't any arepas, so we actually eat arepas every day in Venezuela. So um, we needed it. So my brother was like, "Hey, why we don't like make some arepas and take them to the streets, and maybe people will buy them and stuff." So we make some arepas. We wrapped them in aluminum foil, and we went out. We have some juice, some traditional juice that we do in Venezuela too. And that day, actually, we didn't sell any because we were like sitting in outside a supermarket. We thought it was a good idea to stationary there, and then a police stopped us and they were asking us if we have a permit to sell, and we actually didn't have any permit. I didn't know because in Venezuela, street vendors are pretty common. I don't think all the street vendor has permits, but who knows. So here it was, we needed to go by the rule and the law. So they tell us to go home. So we actually give away the arepas to some homeless people and stuff, and we went home. And then I start making some arepas both for my college, College of the Siskiyou. I went to College of the Siskiyou in Shasta. So yeah, so I start selling them to the a professor and teachers and stuff like that. Then actually, because I'm a international student, I wasn't able to do that too because, well, I didn't know that at the moment. So I almost get in trouble on that, making selling the arepas in the school. So I met my wife Gabriela, and then I we talk about opening a food trailer. I will help her out and stuff like that. So for a summer, we opened a food trailer selling arepas. It was called a different name than now, but same menu, same ingredients and stuff like that. So for summer, we opened it. We start selling some arepas, and it went great. But then we needed to come back to school, so we just closed it. And then after that, like 4 years after that, we opened Pana here in Santa Cruz because my wife got accepted in UCSC, so she went to school here. Yeah.
I love that. And I really appreciate that you share the hard parts of that journey, because there are so many people, whether they immigrate here or they're born here, when they want to get started with maybe a food business or a food truck, they don't know those proper channels. And
Yeah.
you had to learn them, but you've come so far since then.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about how navigating that went for you and what some of the challenges that popped up were?
Yeah. So At the moment in Shasta, it was pretty easy. Actually, my Shasta doesn't have any. They have just one food truck at the moment, so we were like the first food trailer ever. So that was pretty easy. The challenge was coming to Santa Cruz and different, step by step doing, like from the health department to the city, business license and stuff like that. It looks overwhelmed, but if you break it down in like what's it called, like chew sites, like biting sites, you will be doing every step, like fire department, police department, and stuff like that. Specifically, for food trucks, there's specific places to park. You cannot park everywhere because if not, there's going to be competition with restaurants, and in general, restaurants pay more than food trucks. So we respect that as food trucks. But yeah, so there are different like little challenges that you just have to go through.
Well, and I think you really nailed it when you said you have to break down the steps to smaller ones. Because when you look at, I want to start a food truck or I want to start a food trailer, there's so many things. But if you look at what's the first step to doing the licensing, then it's a lot easier to digest and to do. Do you remember what resources you used to figure it out? Were you looking to other people that already had food trucks? Were you doing research online?
I think we were doing research online, especially the city, the health department, or the county will tell you step by step what you need to do. Sometimes there's a little like miscommunication between like entities too, so that makes behind the things too, because sometimes the health department uh, will do different rules than the city, so you have to, and who goes first. So I think it's asking each city, and online it's great, like asking, searching online.
And really looking at your local area because it is about the rules right there where you are, not
Yeah.
even necessarily the state, but
Yeah,
the
each county
town or the
has
city
exactly.
there.
Each county has different regulations, from the food truck to where to park to fire department, police department. Each county has different ones.
That's great and helpful advice for everyone. Let's talk a little bit about your menu. Obviously, this is a meal that you've had your whole life and you really enjoy, but you've also kept it pretty limited. I mean, it really is all about arepas. Can you share why you take that approach to the menu and just tell people a little bit about what the menu entails?
For sure. So we sell just arepas. We focus. That's our niche, to be known as the arepa place. It was hard in the beginning, and it's still hard to convince people why we don't have other dishes, because as other cultures open a restaurant, they usually open it and they do different style of menus, style of food, because they want to like gather a wider demographic, right? Like if they don't just want arepas, they can get a bowl. If you notice, like Chipotle or different restaurants, they will do a different type of food. We wanted to focus in arepas because just as narrow as possible, like that there's no like a confusion of what we sell, and it's memorable. So every time you eat in Pana, you will know that it's arepas, and it will be, you go home, you will remember what you ate and the brand. Uh, so so yeah, we wanted to focus in arepas, just like kind of like an introduction or first step of arepas, because there were not any at the moment, or if it was, there was old ones and things like that. So yeah, so the menu, smaller menu.
It probably helps with your consistency too, right? When you keep the menu streamlined.
Yeah, so yeah, making it consistent and make it for people to learn faster. It's pretty cultural to for Venezuela to do it. So making it for my staff to do it, my team to do it, it was a little challenging. And people will want that consistency and want the same, like I'm making it.
Absolutely. And I think it's really helpful that other business owners know having the biggest menu with the most options isn't always the best way. And sometimes it overwhelms the team
Yeah,
so much that you
and it
can't make
overwhelms the
anything good.
and it overwhelms the customer too, because then they wouldn't know, and especially making it hard on a new item that people that a lot of people don't know, that still to this day they don't know. Actually, people think arepas are called pana because pan means bread, but my brand it means homie, no bread. They still think it's bread. So so it's confusing. Imagine if I have a bigger menu, it will be more confusing of what I'm selling, and they wouldn't make a decision because when people customers come, they want like a 30-second decision, no like half an hour figuring out the menu and what to get, especially if it's a new item.
Absolutely. And it really is about consistency and quality, but even more so for you because you're bringing a menu item that a lot of people aren't familiar with. Can you just talk about how you educate people around arepas? I mean, what I always think is any restaurant that brings a cultural menu item to America, they deal with people who maybe don't know how it's supposed to taste. And so bridging that gap and educating people around the food is probably really important. How do you guys do that at Pana?
Yeah, so we for through the years we be keeping it more simple and simple, because in the beginning it was like, hey, you should, the first years, like, you should know what it is, like it's obvious what I'm selling. But then, learning how people are reacting to the menu and how they, for example, Arepas has proper names. Each name means something, and each name has different ingredients. People are not used to that, so people are used to, like, can I get a ham sandwich or a carne asada taco or something like that. We don't call the ingredients just the ingredients. We call them a proper name, and if you call that name, it means that it has those ingredients. I don't know if that was confusing, but yeah. So knowing that people don't call it that way, so we put, for example, these arepas are the chicken arepas, or these arepas are the beef arepas, and then educate them in the menu, the names of the menu. So just little tweaks, changing things for the customers without changing my traditions and my culture, because that's the hard thing. It's like, if I keep it really, I just want it this way, I wouldn't introduce myself to people in like more like to be in their levels.
It's a delicate balance, and
Yeah,
I feel like you've kind of evolved even over time with
yeah,
how you communicate to your customers.
yeah. For example, arepas usually it's ate by, the arepa is so hot that the cheese should be cold, and then the arepa melted. We actually start melting the cheese and giving the people, arepas with the melted cheese instead of the cold cheese, because people are used to here, they're used to eat the melting cheese more than cold cheese.
That's so interesting. And
Yeah.
it really is about paying attention and listening to your customers. So I love to hear those things you find out as you listen to them. That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about how you get customers. I feel like every small business struggles with that, but as a food truck, it's even more like, how do you let people know where you are? How do you get in front of new people when you're constantly moving? Do you have any advice for where you put your truck and how you get customers?
For sure. So in the beginning, was to this day, we found like or they find us. They ask us to park in a parking lot, so we start parking in the parking lot in the middle, pretty much of nowhere, because I wanted to create the demand of we are a destination and we are not just passing through. So a lot of food trucks, that makes sense for them, is their model. Their model is to park in a food traffic area, and that makes a lot of sense. In a supermarket or gas stations, and that's awesome. For me, it wasn't like, I guess I'm a little stubborn in that part, because I didn't want it like that easy. I wanted to park in the middle of nowhere, and then promote it through like social media and flyers, and word of mouth is pretty important. So we park in this middle of nowhere, and then people just start coming. It takes longer than being in a food traffic place, but for me it was about, again, making them memorable for people to come and eat there. It will make more sense than if you go to a supermarket and then you eat in a food truck, then you get home and you don't even know where you ate. You asked, oh, the food was great, but I don't know where it is, or like because it's moving a lot too. So consistent in a spot it was good for us. It makes, it make the brand new, more people know about it. And then it was hard when we moved because at the same time we're running a business, so we actually need to go where people are. So we went to events and caterings and things like that. So that was hard those days, because then the public are not able to eat in your specific place. But for like almost 5 years consistently, we were parking in a specific spot. That worked for us. Maybe it won't work for a lot of people because, there are days that you don't sell that much. But at least you will teach people that you're consistent there. I guess that's the value.
There's a lot of great takeaways there. And I think there's tons of approaches to where to put a food truck. But that's a really good perspective that not a lot of owners probably think of, which is making a memorable moment and branding yourself and maybe putting that in conflict with the most populated location. So there's benefits there on both sides. I'm really glad you shared that as your perspective.
Yeah, for
You
sure. If
do
you
a
find a place
ton
that
on
is a specific place and it's a lot of foot traffic, that's great. That will be the best case scenario. But usually food trucks don't have the luxury to park in the most food traffic places unless you park like in a gas station or supermarket. You get permission from that, and that is a good business model too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's many ways to do it. I want to talk about social media because you are amazing on social media. When I first saw how many followers you have, I was like, wait a second, this is a food truck. How does it have such a big account? So tell us everything. How do you think about social media?
So especially, before Twitter X, we were posting there where we are located, and then Instagram was pretty is the strongest channel we have. uh, that's the only thing that we have besides TikTok and stuff like that. Instagram is the one that people find us more, especially being in the middle, again, in the middle of nowhere, park there. I just reach out to people, come try it. It usually, before more, I still do, is like, just offering free food for people to come and eat it, just because again, we sell an item that a lot of people don't know, so you need to taste it to eat it again. Because I understand people, when they see the menu, it's overwhelming, and like I don't even know what to order. So I in the beginning I even told people like, hey, if you don't like it, I can give you your money back, because I actually care about people. If they don't like it, what you need to pay for it. So yeah, Instagram was pretty, a lot of connections, a lot of followers still to this day from day one and a half, and people still coming from the Instagram. Yeah.
That's amazing. And what I was hearing when you were talking about all the things you did on there is that it was about connecting with other people and engaging on the platform with users, not just posting like, here's where our truck is, but actually messaging and building relationships.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that, and then showing people, building the food truck business and stuff like that, because it wasn't just about the food. It was connecting with people from the human level too, from me, my perspective on my food and my culture, to them human level. Because I didn't wanna, if you notice, if people notice my social media, besides just posting the arepa, that is the main thing. I post a lot of about different things, from animals to the culture and stuff like that, because the arepa is kind of like the main item, but then I wrap it with something else, like a gift. So the gift is the same gift, but then the wrapping of the gift is what clicks to multiple people and different demographics. So that will be the reason. Like there has to be the clicking, or the, what is it called, like something that connects to someone to actually get the food. Because uh, you see that arepa, or people see that arepa different that I see it. So I'm trying to figure out how to, every day trying to figure out how to connect, knowing my perspective or in their perspective, something to get it.
Remind everyone what your handle is so they can go look. What's your
So it's
Instagram
Pana
handle?
underscore food truck.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone needs to go check that out. It's a mix of things and it's really a great rule of like how to be online and tell a big story, right? Not
Yeah.
just here's this menu item, here's where we're
Yeah,
located,
especially
but
especially
actually
because Exactly, because especially too, it's like if I post just an arepa picture, what that means to you, it won't mean that much, or like just the beef or just the cheese, it just means cheese or beef. There has to be a story behind it, because if not, you wouldn't be interested in getting it.
Yep, that makes total sense to me. Let's talk a little bit about making memorable experiences. You've obviously been doing that for years. It's why people share about you in reviews and on social. How do you feel like you create those memorable experiences? Because the exchange is really fast, right? They're just
Yeah.
grabbing an item from the truck.
Yeah. So I think the customer service is key, asking people besides what they're ordering, because uh, for me, it's like making it like people, I really appreciate every person that comes to eat it, because you can eat anywhere, or you can eat at home. So you actually put in the time and your money to come get this experience, right, from the food to the customer service. So it's really key that maybe just ask how they're doing, something memorable for them, because if it's just the food, you can eat anywhere. So it means a lot to me that you come and eat my food, because we have that responsibility that you can get that anywhere else, not just the food, because you can actually eat at home and make your arepa, and it will be, maybe it will taste the same, I don't know. But
It won't.
well, so people that make arepas, they will do it at home, and it will taste. I'm saying like it's more like a that. I have a lot of appreciation for people to come and eat arepas.
Absolutely. And I think that comes across from your team and also the way you show up online. It really is about the customers and
Yeah.
celebrating them as a part of your business, which any
Yeah.
business can do, but you guys do it really well. So I think
Yes.
that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to talk about expanding from the food truck to the brick and mortar. How did you know you were ready? What was that like?
Yeah. So the food truck has a lot of business wise, a lot of logistics. Moving parts that people don't see, but that we have learned a lot. Like for example, if you what's it called, hire someone to drive the truck, so they come to the truck with their car, and then the truck goes somewhere else. What they're gonna do with their car? So little things like that. Let's say, and then let's say their shift finishing the event. How they're gonna come back to their home or to their car? So little things like that. We wanted to make it more, because I think for us it's not that much being a food truck or a restaurant. I think those ones are the vehicle to showcase our food, right? So I didn't want to be just in the food truck business. I wanted to be in the I actually want to be in the heartwarming business, because the food makes you heartwarm. That's what the emotion I want to create every time. So how I have to in different like channels, for example, the restaurant. So moving to the restaurant, it was more about being consistent in a specific spot, like we did with the food truck. But then still, the food truck have a lot of advantage of doing caterings and events and things like that. So there's still gonna be some movements. So uh, we've been waiting for this location for 3 years, the one that we are here, because I love this spot. I wanted to be, center in Santa Cruz, and I wanted to be in that specific spot. So the manager reached out to us when it was open. I don't know where we were not even like looking for a restaurant at that moment, so we just jumped to it.
That is so cool. And it just shows sometimes you have to take the leap, right? You weren't maybe looking, but you knew the location was great. And that's over all this time that you've been running your business that you were able to identify how important a location was to you.
Yeah, actually, the what is called August 3rd was our 6 year in business.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
incredible.
yeah.
I hope you celebrated.
No, because I actually forgot about it.
Well,
So
this year you have to celebrate.
yeah, this year I will celebrate it, for sure.
Good, good. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about feedback and reviews. And it doesn't just have to be Yelp. I would love to hear kind of how you approach listening to customers in general. Do you read everything? Do you kind of only look at certain things? How do you manage what people are saying about you online? And do you ever learn anything helpful when you look at that stuff?
Yeah, so actually, every review or comment or Instagram DM or Facebook, I take it pretty serious because first, people are taking the time of the day to let me know how to improve. Even though sometimes they're bad or good, actually, in social media, I start posting more of my bad reviews than good reviews, just because, yeah, because from the good ones. You can learn, but you don't learn that much of the bad ones, right? So the details goes on the bad ones because people had that emotion of being, something happened with their food, it took too long. Anything could happen in that. My what is it called? My order was taken wrong or things like that. So like that, I can tell my staff and my team have to improve because we you can see what is it called, like on those changes. That's when we get like more perfect. So food is not perfect at all, but we want to make it as possible perfect as possible. So actually, we have I haven't finished, but in the restaurant we have a bunch of reviews in the walls. Almost the whole restaurant is full of Yelp reviews and Google reviews and things like that. So just to show, that's the standard we want to keep doing every time.
And that's really good to show the team, but also the community, because I think it encourages them to share their experience too.
Yeah, so we call it like social proof. That's what I learned too. So social proof is like, I'm not saying the food, like, and you will never see me anywhere that my food is the best food ever. I think I wanna people are telling me that my food is the best. So how can we prove that? People are talking about it, and like that, other customers that are unsure of what to eat, they decide to go with us because other people are saying it, not because I'm saying it.
Absolutely. That makes total sense to me. And it's a big picture, right? It kind of shows all different people's experience and the consistency that you had between all those different experiences.
Yeah, and from the comments and reviews, you learn different things. There's this customer that once said like, it reminds me my she was Asian, I think she was Chinese, and she's like, it reminds me about Chinese burgers. And then I Google Chinese burgers, and yeah, they look kind of alike. So that's funny to find things like that. uh, yeah, it was awesome.
That is cool just to kind of like get inside the mind of your customer and learn a little bit too. That's awesome. I love that. Okay, I feel like I need to ask you about cleanliness because, first of all, you're known for having a very clean food truck, but I also think a food truck is probably a good lesson in keeping a clean business and workspace. So, how do you do it? Do you have advice? Tell us about cleanliness in your business.
Yeah, so that's another like first or second in our priorities. So actually, when people come to work for us, uh, we are pretty like spot on cleaning. Like that's our first. Before you even cook, you gotta clean, and you gotta learn everything. Details, cleaning like the surface and things that usually in restaurants and food trucks are not clean. We clean them, and because again, it comes to the I appreciate so much people coming to eat there that we have this big responsibility that everything is to be clean because you put food there and then you're actually eating that. You're putting it inside your body. So if it goes deeper and deeper levels of responsibilities, so cleaning, from the floor to the roof to whatever it needs to be clean, it will be clean for us. And then there was in the beginning, there was a lot of like, the culture of food trucks are no we are not the best in cleaning. If you go to a food truck, it's going to be dirty. Usually that's what people expect. So us cleaning it, make it more for food truck owners and for customers to know that this is what the standard should be. I'm not doing it for other people, but I'm doing it because like that I can show our customers too, uh, you can be safe eating here.
And when you keep up with cleaning like that, it's so much easier than waiting until it hasn't been cleaned for so long and you're trying to get it back to like a good place.
And then it's dangerous, for example, oil, and then the hood and stuff like that. There's so many stories about restaurants and food trucks burning just because they wasn't cleaned proper. So
Yeah, you got to take care of it. And
yeah,
that really pays back to the business and how it looks and how people perceive it. So
yeah,
that's
even though
really
it takes
helpful
like
advice.
twice as long as if you don't clean it, more hours, more work. It's a lot, but it's I think it's a priority for restaurants and food trucks to do that. Yeah.
You have provided so much helpful information. To wrap us up, do you have any advice that you would give someone who's thinking about starting a food truck or even just a food business? What do you wish someone had maybe told you?
Yeah, so I think I will tell them to jump on it, to try it. I wouldn't sugarcoat it, cut it that is for everybody. It's not for everybody. There's a lot of like delayed gratification, depends of your goals. So if you want a quick money, I wouldn't go into the food business at all. um, it's about what you want to create. So if you want to, if you love food, or mm, love the social interaction with customers and how what you want to showcase to people and to the world. um, for us, we want to be, we want to build an arepa empire, one arepa at a time. So it wasn't just that I love food, I love arepas and I love my culture. So you gotta be really, passionate about it, because there's a lot of downs in the food industry.
That was great advice. It's worth it, but it's definitely not easy. And you shared so many you shared so many wonderful things today. Thank you for your time and even just for telling us about what maybe wasn't always easy along the journey, because so many people learn from that, I think, more than from the success.
For sure, for sure. It wasn't an overnight success, and we're still growing and we're still improving. And actually, we are like 6 years. A lot of people, it's a lot of time, but for me, we are just a baby, and there's so much that we can change and improve.
I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Thanks again for
Thank you.
joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get an alert next time we drop an episode. And head to business.yelp.com to claim your free business profile or add your business to Yelp. You can also comment below or reach me directly by emailing podcasts@yelp.com. We'd love to hear from you if you have a question or a recommendation for a future episode. See you next time.